she came, she had a kind of wow factor, because she came in a similar box like this one, and this was such a great presentation that I hardly wanted to debox her, because I found she was so beautiful in this box. I can't really tell you how beautiful she was, and I did not want to debox her. But finally I did, and this is the original doll that I got in 1996. She was one of the very early dolls I got when I was a collector, a young collector, starting at the age of 11. Yeah, I know, was very young, but I did not care. I wanted just simply collect the collector dolls from Barbie. These ones were not so interesting anymore, but I still had mine, but I sold them all to buy this kind of dolls here. To pay for them, because they were very expensive. 1992 brings us the very first dressed in silver Happy Holidays Barbie. She somehow reminds me of a combination of chandelier and icicle when we come to her top, because it's a very sparkling top, and these little pieces hanging from her top are reminding me somehow of something that you have on a chandelier. I don't know, I can't really explain what I mean, but I think you know what I mean, even if I don't have the really expression for it. So this is a white, almost white box that she came in. We have here another blue-eyed Barbie, also very 90s-like, with her blue eyeshadow and her pink lips. Somehow very 90s-like, and the sparkling backdrop is so gorgeous. I can't explain it, but it makes me feel like I am a 6 or 7 year old again, and this is really a joy to see. And it's nothing that I would like to touch, but I love to see it. And here is the sparkling dress, tulle with a lot of sparkles, and I think it won't come off like her sister's 1988 sparkle does not come off. She has here a two-tone blonde hair. It's also kind of cologne, and she has a little ponytail on top. She has the classical Barbie arms, as you can see. She came with a pair of white shoes, as far as I remember. And Rich is very rich and elegant, and makes me think somehow too of a rainbow, because the dress and the sequins, they are all shimmering like they are a rainbow of their own. So it's very enticing, so that you would love to have a closer look at this toy when you are standing further away from her. I don't know if I can describe it in a better way, but somehow I'm very optimistic about her. So this is no classical Happy Holidays box that she has. I think you have hardly ever seen this one. I have never found it in any book. I'm the only one to have this box. And I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but they were produced in a limited amount. So this is my Happy Holidays, and it's a lot of joy to have a look at her. So this is a very classical Barbie for me, what I got to know as Barbie in my first years. So this is very, very classical to me, and something I love and adore, and something that I keep in my heart as kind of a toy, but this is not really a toy, it's something to collect rather than to play with. As an opposite to the other boxes, she has no picture on her bag. She has a long text from January 1994 and a German Mattel division. I think this is the most unique box that I have, because it's totally different from the other Happy Holiday boxes I have. Suddenly, after having gotten this doll for Christmas, we started to get kind of post from Mattel. Believe it or not, but they sent us a kind of post, you know. The internet was not available back then in 1996, 1997. For Germany it was still something for big enterprises, not for private households, and we had no internet connection until 1998. But we were one of the first ones in my school class to have internet, and so it was something very special. You were an insider back then when you had it. Now all people have it, so it's kind of funny story. But after having bought this doll, we suddenly got post from Mattel. So they made a kind of one-to-one advertising at the time. I don't know if they did it somewhere else outside Europe or not, but we got a letter from Mattel every now and then. Sometimes with a catalog, sometimes with no items, sometimes just with the presentation of one special doll. I still have these letters and would love to show them to you now. So 1993 brings a kind of fairy Barbie poinsettia dream in gold and red in a golden box. It's also a semicircle box. You know, the printing of the poinsettia on her side. So here you have suddenly the Barbie logo that was used in the 90s. Not this one anymore. So this is also a kind of special doll because she reminds me of a poinsettia, and it's very special because my mother is a florist, and when I was little and pre-Christmas time came, we always had to do some kind of advent arrangement every year for all the relatives, and somehow this doll reminds me of the time because my mother also used a lot of red tones for her advent arrangements. I don't know if you know them or not. I can show you a picture of what they look like. She is also a green-eyed with Cannecalone hair. She is another blonde version here. The black ones are harder to find, that's why I don't have them. But I think if I would have the black version, she would look completely different because of the skin tone, and the dress would look very different on her. It's not meant in a negative way, but somehow the expression is so totally different between the Caucasian and the black issues that when you can, you should buy them all. You see here her eyeshadow is kind of yellow, maybe a bit golden. She has green eyes and these huge earrings with beads and pearls, and you have here poinsettia all over her body. It's so sparkling. You can also regard her as one big poinsettia if you want to, and this is so fantastic. And they are put in a so nice way in these boxes that I have my doubts that I will ever debox her, because the arrangement is so lovely that I don't dare to put her out of the box. It's so nice and so perfect, and yeah, I'm also starting like the other YouTubers. So nice, so big, so perfect, yeah. That's also what I feel. That somehow she reminds me of the time when I was little and I did these arrangements with my mother. And yeah, she was also one of the treasures I had to hunt longer for. She was not that easy to find. The 1994 one was easier to find. And this is, I think she's just gorgeous the way she is. I'm super satisfied that I have her. I would never sell her in my life. You know, I'm a bit crazy. I don't want to sell. When I have them and I went hunting, then I won't keep. I'm the one to keep my treasures. So this is the back of her box, and this is also a display box that you could use. But this year it's not printed on the box anymore. And it's no European box, as you can see. She's only in one language. It's only in English. And the box has some tears and dents because of the age, but I did not care about it. I just wanted to have her in this gown, and I think the display here is very, very lovely with this stairs. And if I would ever had the chance to, I would definitely use such a staircase for my photos too, because they're so great. I can't help, and they are decorated in a very festive way so that you would immediately want to buy her if you don't already have her. So great doll, great atmosphere, lovely, just lovely. So here's what I got about, I think 11 months after having bought her. This is for the Happy Holidays. It's the original part of the letter that we got. It's a kind of brochure that we got together with a letter here. And this came, I don't know, maybe every 3rd or 4th month when they had something new out, so they informed you directly. And it's a kind of advertising that's very expensive today. I don't know if it exists anymore. It's almost kind of one of a one-to-one marketing, so it's very unusual. I don't think you will find it anymore in today's marketing world because the internet made it much cheaper. And you don't need it anymore because Facebook does it for you. Makes it easier to reach people, not so expensive anymore. So for 1994 I have something very special for you because I have this doll twice. Yes, I once deboxed her because I liked her so much that I wanted to debox her. And then after having deboxed her, I regretted it because the box was so lovely. I still have the one of the deboxed doll. But in my opinion, she's looking inside her box way, way better than outside with her gold and her faux fur. And it's also a nice thing that you have a deboxed doll, but this is really amazing. This is so a golden girl. I can't express it to you. It's so great. Let's have a closer look at her. In 1994 we have a blonde version, yeah. We have a green-eyed version. She is having some sequins on her top, yeah. You have the little holly and the holly berries, the white and the gold. So gold is everything in 1994. It's the first really golden Happy Holidays we got ever since the start of the production. So she has also kind of pink lips, and she has the zombie arms and this huge dress when you put it out of the box. It's so nice inside the box, but when you put them out of the box you see how huge this dress really is. And I underestimated it when I put her out of the box, and I regretted it somehow that I put her out of the box, so I bought a second one. I know I'm not the only one. So this is also something I would have really treasured if I would have gotten her as a girl, but I did not, and I found her much later. I think I was still in school when I found her. Not having my Unity entrance degree then, but I found her for a good price and I was able to buy her back then, and it's the one I deboxed later here. So this is stunning. This is also looking like a mid-more 90s, like from the beginning we had the 80s, and you can see the shift here somehow a little bit to the more 90s. And this hair ornament is just, I really love it, but I think my mother would never put it somewhere if she would have a Christmas wreath like this, because it's so artificial, and I really love this so much. I can't really explain it. It's so great. It's funny. It's also that you have the sparkle on the dress and the white and the sparkling part in front. Her underskirt that we see a little bit here It's so, I can't really explain it, I don't have a word for it. Just fabulous, only great, nothing to add more, just perfection somehow. Yeah, I know I'm sounding like the other ones, but I'm happy that I don't miss her in my life and I have her, and it's a great thing to see these dolls every day, and I can see them in my display case because I have deboxed some of them, and it somehow reminds me of Christmas every day I look at them. It's a kind of very fabulous to celebrate your own way. I know it's crazy, but it's the way it is, and yeah, just crazy and golden and super, super lovely, and I can't add more. So let's have a look at her box 2. So this reminds me somehow of a comic that her backside is showing us. She somehow reminds me of a kind of comic that we see in all these Hollywood movies with the snow and the perfect Christmas situation with a manor in the back and a sleigh, and I don't know if it's Santa Claus or not. But this is also a huge, huge bag. The other ones were not that big on her back. She also has this card I already showed you. This time it's not separated from the backdrop. Somehow it's integrated here. But she's also looking a bit comic-like they did something to her face in comparison to the real face that we have next to the box. But it's just something I so adore. I can't tell you. It's so great. I would love to sit every day in front of my dolls and have a look at them, but I don't really have the time to. It's unfortunately not good, but it is the way it is. And here is my Happy Holidays 1994. A thing that I adore. Let's come to the question why Mattel certainly focused on the grown-ups as kind of new target group. As you have already seen in my video, I have the 1988 Happy Holidays Barbie. So now let's go on a fictive journey. Let's do something that's very common in marketing. Let's invent a kind of customer. Let's call her Doreen. Born maybe in the mid-50s during the baby boomers, now in the late 80s. She is possibly in her mid-30s. In her 30s, maybe to her mid-30s. She's white, she has a husband, she has a little daughter called, and it's pre-Christmas time in 1988, and they both go to pre-Christmas shopping in a Toys R Us, let's say maybe somewhere in Florida. So here we have the 1995 Happy Holidays Barbie, and this doll, the first one I ever got. So we have here the Barbie logo in this holly leaf, and this doll is at least the one I wanted to have when I started to collect Barbie. I know it sounds crazy. I have her twice. The right one is the one I got for Christmas in 1996. She was also offered as a 1996 doll in Germany, like in the 1988 as 1989 and 1989 as 1990, but this happens more often, and she here was sold as 1996 Happy Holidays, although she's a 1995 version. But I did not care so much. I wanted to have this doll. I was not playing with dolls anymore, but she was something I really saw in a catalog, and this was such a great picture. You know, Christmas somehow, as when you are 10 or 11 years old, it's something great to experience, is a great thing. And This here is the ultimate Happy Holidays for me, because she was my very first one. The silver holly leaves on her green dress and the huge collar that she has together with her kind of color in her, and really the eyes, the green blue eyes, the combination. It's so great that you have it. It's very festive in my opinion, but it's also something unusual for Germany because we don't have so much holly and holly leaves somewhere in a Christmas decoration. We have greens, but not this kind of green. Somehow it's not like in English speaking countries. We have them growing here, but we don't use it for Christmas decoration. I don't know why, but this is the way it is. And when this came out, I was just starting to learn English, and this somehow kind of fascinated me back then, and it was so exotic for me, and I simply wanted to have her. I can't really express it in words. So this doll had for me as a kind of a wow factor. You know, I already told you a little bit about consumer behavior and that the purchase experiences you make as a child influence you in later life. I only made positive experiences with Barbie, and maybe that's an expression why I wanted to have this lovely doll. I can't express it really. It's very hard. And this is the first one I really ever got. So it's really the green dress and the red box. They have a very, very good contrast. So this is something you would want. And this is also a European box that I have here. It's so nice in this box, and like I already said, I regretted that I put her out of the box, but when you are not grown up, you want more often to debox things that you later would have let in the box. And this lace part of the dress, it's so great. This really fits the doll, and the design itself would have gotten a prize for me if I would have been a judge in the time. I can't really express it. So she has different arms than her sisters. The 1994 dolls had the zombie arms, and she doesn't have them anymore. Just letting you know here. So this is really perfect Christmas, a perfect vision of Christmas for me somehow. So as you can see, this is another time a European box because it's in multiple languages. I think it's really lovely, but it's arranged in a perfect way. So we don't have it here on the full back like on 1994. We have only the card you see here. The hair was arranged in a little bit different way than what we got later, but not very much. And the holly leaves were somehow a little bit smaller on the prototype photo here. But all in all, I must say it's very lovely, and I would have loved to go inside this house, this lovely decorated house, and have a look how it's looking inside. You know, I am always fascinated how they do this for display cases, and I would love to have such a diorama to play with and make photos from such an angle. It's nothing you can't really buy, but I would so love to have something like it so that you could play around with it. I can't really imagine. And I always imagined how it would look inside here in this house that we only see the door of. And she has, like her sisters, this card. And it's so great here. I can't show you her box anymore because I don't have her box anymore, but she came with the same box. And you have here another time the stamp that you could cut out to get something for free from Mattel. Yeah, you can tell it's Mattel, it's well. Don't forget. So, but I have my doubts that this color here is really Victorian-like. I would say it's rather Victorian inspired than really a Victorian color, because I have my doubts they ran around with this in Victorian times, and so I think that's a bit more fantasy than reality, because it would have not been very practical to have such huge colors. And don't forget the makeup, it's so beautiful here. Let's zoom in a bit. You can see her green and blue eyes. They are so lovely, and she looks kind of very, very gentle and friendly, as she would like to give you a gift somehow. So, little daughter Eve wants to go to the Barbie section because she just saw a Barbie ad in TV. Let's say it was the Super Style Barbie. It was just brand new out there, and she saw an ad, and you know, children, they always want what they see in TV. They want to buy or have what they see in TV, you know. Just simply influenced by the ad. She just saw her mother and little Eve go to the Toys R Us, and suddenly Doreen sees the Happy Holidays. Let's say she had a positive contact with Barbie in her childhood made, so the foundation is there, and her neurons are excited to see such a lovely doll packed like the 1988 Happy Holidays Barbie, you know. The $35 she was sold for was a very good price for this doll, not overpriced, but still attractive, not just for, let's say, a grandmother or a grandchild to be bought as a present, but also the first time here for the target group of grown-up collectors. I think it was maybe a test to see if there's a chance that grown-ups would also buy kind of special dolls for themselves if they had made positive contact with Barbie in their childhood. I know it's crazy to have them in different skin tones, but I had to have this one here in 2 different skin tones because they are looking so different. That's 1996 Happy Holidays, and she somehow reminds me as a doll that was not planned to be on the outside somewhere in a warm room, but somehow outside, somewhere outside, with the dress that's looking rather like a coat than a dress. And it's a very good fit. The colors are a good combination. The white fur makes her somehow look a little bit historic to me. I don't know if it's Victorian inspired or something fantasy inspired. It's not always so easy to tell. But this here is the first blonde Happy Holidays with lilac eyes. Let me show you here. So she has completely lilac eyes. This is, I think, the first doll I ever saw with completely lilac eyes in the Barbie world. And it's a very good contrast to her dark red kind of coat-like dress, somehow very, very stylish, very elegant, with huge amount of hair. She also has Cane Cologne hair. But now let's zoom to her sister. And this one has not the same eye color. She has brown and lilac as a combination. I know the box is a bit scratched. It's not the best box I got here, but it's really, really lovely, and the skin tone makes this look completely different than what I had before here on the blonde. So this is making a huge difference. Are you thinking the same? Let me know in the comments below. both dolls look nevertheless warm and cozy in their dresses. So let's zoom out. So they have their burgundy red and their gold and white, and that makes them for me also look very festive in a festive way. And to be honest, this was the Happy Holidays. The blonde version was the one I saw at my first Toys R Us visit I ever did when I was 11 years old, and she was on a big pile of Happy Holidays dolls, a huge amount. I can tell you she was around 90 D-marks back then. She was a little bit cheaper than the 1995 Holidays, but I think she was a special offer back then in the pre-Christmas time of 1996. And I was somehow irritated because I thought the 1996 was the 1995 doll, and that caused a little confusion. Of course, I wanted to have her too, but the budget of my parents was limited, so I had to decide which one I wanted, and I decided for the 1995 one. I got these later. You see, they also have a golden box with a poinsettia ornament on it. Very, very lovely. So the black dots are harder to find in Germany than the Caucasian ones, because the market for black dolls is so to call not existent here. You have to have some luck to find them here. But I thought they were looking so different that I had to have them both here in my collection and show you. And I think you will agree that they have a totally different look when you have a look at them. So great, aren't they? So here you have on the back of the box. The box this year has also kind of snowy background. The dress is a little bit slender than the ones we just saw in the box here. And you see they are in a snowy landscape as well as 1994. And I think somehow she a little bit inspires, I think of the Russian Tsars when I see these dolls here. I can't really explain why, but I feel somehow reminded to the Russian Tsars and late 19th century somehow. The gold buttons and their huge dresses. So this is something I would see as something really positive. It's not meant in a negative way, but hey, I'm crazy and I'm a collector. I want to hunt, and I always see things other people don't see here. You know, toy stores are developed the way that you always want to buy. You know, it's always a very special concept with the shelves, the way they are, and the music that is played, and what you smell and what you see, and the lighting and everything is a very special concept, and it's made for you to buy. And this also is the case here in our little story, because Doreen's daughter Eve immediately asked her mother to buy this superstar Barbie, and she begs and begs and begs, and Doreen says, okay, let's buy the doll. It's not very expensive, it's a good offer this week, let's buy her. And so Doreen, standing in front of the shelves with the Happy Holidays, also decides, maybe I should buy this doll for myself. And then you get all the positive feelings in your brain that when you have bought something, it gives you a good feeling, and it's also the case here. And you see, the concept has worked. Doreen decides to buy the Happy Holidays. Selling has a lot to do with selling emotions. It's not the product itself, but it's the emotions that you sell while you are in the buying process. So here we have the 1997 Happy Holidays Barbie, and she is the first brunette in this series. And yes, I have deboxed her. You know, I'm no big deboxer, but I somehow felt inspired because she's looking like a big present, and I simply had to put her out of the box. I still have her box, and she has the golden version of her box. Let me show you. So here is her box. She had the golden backdrop, yeah, and she had this ornament on the front. So we again have green in 1997, but somehow this dress is completely different from the rest of this series. It somehow reminds me of I don't know, a perfectly wrapped present somehow, and the gold jewelry is just very elaborate, so something different than the years before, and that made me want to have her, and she was one of the earlier dolls I got. You see, she also has some yellow, kind of yellow, something that's just looking fantastic, like these little ornaments here on her bodies. So great, and the glitter did not come off. I'm so thankful for the glitter, that it did not come off, but it also makes her hard to clean because you don't get the dust out of her dress because of the glitter. So that's a con, but nevertheless, I have also the blonde version. The blonde version was not a regular playline version. She was made for a convention. I think she was only produced in 4,000 pieces. And yes, I have her in blonde. So she's also looking like her sister in brunette, but they are completely different looking when we have a look at her, and she is equipped with different arms than the 1996 Holiday Barbie, Happy Holidays Barbie. So here again, have a look. I think they made the arms depending on which pose she came with after 1994, and this is just a perfect example of a classical 90s dress, so that I wanted immediately to buy them. I can't help myself. I know I'm crazy, but I don't care. When I feel like buying, I buy, and I must say that's something I have hardly experienced in the last years. So this was really something I wanted to have, and the dolls nowadays, the collector dolls, are not something that I really appreciate, and it's something I would love to buy because they look completely cheap in comparison to these ones here. And this is really something to treasure, to hold, to keep, and nothing to throw away. So this is my 1997 Happy Holidays Barbie, and she's the first and only brunette of this series. It's so lovely, isn't it? Would you have deboxed yours too? Let me know in the comments below. I'm so excited. I have them all here, and we are doing this video. She also has this kind of card on her, in her box on her back, that we all see for at least the last 9 years, and she has the 10th anniversary on her back, and yeah. And you see the blonde version has the brunette version on her box, so they did not create a new box for the special edition of the blonde version. Like we often see, but they also have this photo card that all her sisters came with, and she's also a Carne haired doll with the classical Daisy Duck perms and the classical doll stand that we have until, I think, 2000. As a consumer, you want and to experience positive emotions, and then you are more willing to buy this product than if you would not have any positive emotions. And that's also what happens here in this little scene. Doreen decides to buy the doll because she herself had made positive consumer experiences with Barbie in her childhood, and her neurons are also stimulated like Eve's are stimulated here, and that's why we often buy things we would not buy when we see them under logical points of view. So this is just, sometimes it's just an emotion that makes us to buy things, and that's what plays a very big role here, and possibly that's the reason why Mattel saw the grown-up as possibly a new target group to their market goals, because, you know, the first generation of Barbie owners had grown up, and maybe they could make them buy again, maybe in another class, but somehow very still attracted by the dolls of their own. You know, you see the world different when you have own children, and then you go through this kind of process again, that you are kind of a little child again, now as a grown-up. I don't know how to express it in a better way, but I think you know what I mean. And you go through the process again, and this is what possibly attracted Mattel to do this kind of experiment with the early collector dolls, like the Happy Holidays Barbie here, when they could make them buying dolls for 35 euros. Maybe there was a span that they would even buy more expensive dolls, like the ones that came later. Imagine the Bob McKee dolls that were much, much more expensive. Possibly another explanation would be that Mattel saw the lack of children that were born in the 70s due to the availability of contraceptives, that they thought, hey, maybe we don't sell enough dolls anymore in the 90s, so let's focus on grown-ups as a target group then, and we will make more money because we can make them buy more expensive dolls than ever child ever would buy with their parents. So that's possibly the reason why Mattel regarded the grown-ups as kind of cash cow here. Cash cow is someone who buys everything you want him to buy. To explain it in a few words, that's kind of marketing stuff, but a cash cow is somebody you could milk for any reason. Gives you all the money you want. Of course, the good dolls for grown-ups were made in a more stylish and elaborate way than they would do it for children, like what you have seen here in this store. That's Playline, that's for grown-ups. And you see, there is a difference, just simply from the way she's looking here. So I would like to give you the idea of your Barbieverse. That's a kind of your own very special world. It's your relationship to Barbie, and it's looking different for each person. Each Barbie owner has its own Barbieverse, because we all had different first Barbies, we all had different Barbie friends, we all had different dogs, cats, houses, and so that's a kind of universe of our own. So what we liked, what we made first contact with when we had Barbie, plays all a role in this Barbieverse, and it's looking different for each of us. And I tried to make a kind of picture to show this. It's just a general overview, but it's unique to every Barbie owner, and it's unique to me, it's unique to you. You have made different experiences, but I think all of us made positive experiences. That's why we are still here. Why you watch this channel, because you made positive consumer experiences with Barbie in the past. So that's why you are here, and I don't wanna make you feel sad, so that's why you should stay here. And your Barbieverse is very important. It's your own world of Barbie, it's your emotions, it's everything you put in there, you have experienced, and it has a lot to do with when you rebuy things, with your impressions of what your grandparents told you. Let's say if your grandparents used one special cream and they put the cream on you too, so you have a very special memory every time you see this cream. And that's also what happens with other brands that you buy during your life. And when you make this very positive contact, then these memories will stay. And that's also want to express with the Barbieverse here. It's your own world of Barbie. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's just what you experienced. And when you have made positive experiences, during your consumer life that started when you entered this world, you are likely to buy a certain brand again. So that's an aspect you should keep in mind. I know it has nothing to do with the Happy Holidays Barbie, but for me it plays a role, because that's what is the solution, what the Barbie journal had to do with this Happy Holidays Barbie. I made positive consumer experiences in the Barbie world, and that's why I wanted to have this doll at last. So here's my 1998 Happy Holidays Barbie. She's the last one of this series produced. I was so disappointed that they did not continue this series and the way they did in the 90s. I always waited and waited and waited. Hope to have this series continued the way it was, but as you can see, in comparison to my 1997 Happy Holidays, this one here is looking much different than her sisters before. I think it's because Mattel underwent changes, and that's what you see here in the production and the style the dresses are made. So she has for the first time a black dress. She's the only one with a black dress, and the silver. And this somehow makes her very stylish, but also very late 90s, somehow inspired by a princess dress to me, with this huge stole and pink show. So she's the highlight of every party she would go to. When you see something like her, you would say, oh, wow, it's stunning, it's great, she's wonderful. And she was in Germany a special offer. She was offered for only 50 D-marks, which is in today's currency about 36 euros. She was much cheaper somehow than her sisters were. So I just love this black combination because it's such a wonderful contrast somehow. I can't really explain how and why I feel it, but it's the way I feel. And the only thing that was different was the advertising that was made for her. And I thought she would definitely be worth the 50 D-marks or 36 euros back then. So my parents bought in this time a whole week's grocery for 50 D-marks, and just to give you a comparison what you would get for 50 D-marks back then, a whole shopping cart filled for 1 week so that we could survive 1 week in food. So just great. But you also see kind of this silver and gold Christmas style that came up in the late 90s. I don't know how to explain it. But in fashion, somehow around this time, we found something sparkling in silver and gold. And I still have a pair of trousers from this time, and it's so sparkly. And this is something I'm remembered here too of this doll. I don't know how to put it. Somehow a bit more sophisticated than the other ones, but still wonderful. Now let me show you her bag. Yes, and yes, her dress was designed in another way than what she was finally produced in, because you see it here. It's also kind of prototype style that you came in, and this was made before she was mass produced, and that's why she's looking a bit different than the one that we have in the box. Like we see it often in the mid to late 90s. Yeah, I know. If somebody wants to grant me a wish, I'd like to have a diorama like this one from the back so that you could really make great photos with this kind of 1 to 6 channel here. I don't know where to buy it, but would be great. This is the last doll of the classical Happy Holidays Barbie series. In 10 years we have seen a lot of changes. The dolls underwent several dramatical changes. I hope I have shown you the wonder of the Happy Holidays Barbie. It was a great joy for you to see all these lovely 90s dolls. You are as a big fan as I am, and I hope you have a great pre-Christmas time. So I made this a little bit more special and a bit more personal than all the other videos I saw on YouTube, because I thought it's worth to share my story here with you, because it's so crazy. And even if it's just happened 25 years ago, it seems like a century ago, because so much has changed in the meantime. I hope you like this little story that I put here and there in between my Happy Holidays Barbies, so that you know what this doll has to do with my collection and why she is one of the most special dolls I own, even though she's not the rarest one. But this is such a treasure to me. I hope you have such a treasure too, and you would think about this when you have a silent minute. Maybe you will experience it too, and maybe you can also show me your Barbieverse. Let me know how your Barbieverse is looking, how it's looking. The first Barbie you got, it's so impressive. It's a very exciting topic to know what other collectors' Barbieverse looks like. You know, it's a universe of its own, just in Barbie size. But it's still very interesting to all of us sitting here watching and having a great day. I hope you enjoyed this series very much. See you very, very soon. Your Busy Bee from Germany. And have a great pre-Christmas time. Bye! So now we have reached the end of our first 10 years of Happy Holidays Barbie. Of course, this was not the end of the whole series. This series was continued and is still continued as a Holiday Barbie line. This here are the dolls from around 2000 in black and Caucasian version. We also have something very similar here, down at the bottom. Let me know if you would like to have this kind of series continued, so that you can see more of these holiday dolls. I have some more, I don't have all, but next 10 years would not be a big problem. So it's wonderful that you see them still in every year, and that's kind of a tradition that you have. In my opinion, it's somehow great, even if the look has changed within the years and the quality went down, but they are still wonderful dolls every year.